Hello, my name is Liva and I am a creative person. But for me it was never a choice because I was born in a creative family. My parents are creatives, their friends are creatives too. So for me it was kind of expected to be creative. So when I was a child I thought that everybody was creative because I was surrounded by creative people. But then when I got older and I met more people, I realized that it's not the case. There are many people on this planet who think they're not creative. And many of them say that it's because they were not born with a special gift. So what I would like to find out is what is creativity? And if creativity is a talent or a skill. So is it something that we're born with and some are born with more than others? Or if it's something that we can develop like a skill, if we can train it like a muscle. So I have decided to go and talk to people and ask them what creativity is. So what is creativity?
Yep.
What do you think?
Creativity is, to my mind, I would say it's a divine power or a divine spark that somebody has, that they feel the need to express themselves in whatever shape or form, whether it's writing or drawing or music, and by which they either improve up somebody's life or they say something that they want to say to the world, and then people listen to it, like it, and it somehow helps their own lives to be better. I think it's creating something beautiful and something artistic, whatever that person thinks is beauty to them or art to them, I think.
Creativity is the process from imagining an idea, expressing it, and then fulfilling it. So once something is born in your head, then you just are able to express it, and then you kind of think about ways and means how to fulfill it, create it, make it, write it, etc.
What is creativity?
I think in the ideal scenario, it's the force of life, like same as libido. It's like the force of life for every human being, ideally. I know it's not like that for every person, but ideally it is. It should be. In the ideal world, should be one of the basic things for our human existence.
But in this world?
In this world.
Okay.
Same as people have natural drive for sex, right? As an evolutionary drive, I think people are wired for creative expression. And if we're not, I think it's because we're stifled by society, by demands. People are crippled and stifled in school and educational system. All of that is taken away from us. But naturally, it's just I think it just keeps people alive and keeps them interested in life.
Creativity is I think it's seeing, it's you got the whole picture together and you kind of connect the dots subconsciously, and that sounds a bit weird. I think creativity just sometimes is a bit when you write a song and it just comes on, when you write a poem, you can just for me, it's like kind of, it's already exists. You just have to grab it and kind of pull it down slowly, bit by bit.
What do I think creativity is? I think creativity is probably something that comes from within. Like, I think creativity is a flow of energy. So, something that you express from deep within. So people, I think, can express it in different ways. But for myself, creativity is being able to express myself in whichever way I feel like makes me happy.
Creativity is the ability to express yourself and into something tangible. That's what I think.
Creativity is the act of taking something that's within your brain and making it outside in the world.
What do you think creativity is?
I think it's practice. I think it's inspiration. I think it's mathematics. I think it's a way of looking and asking questions. And then I think it's overcoming fear.
What kind of fear?
Of getting things wrong, of the unplanned, of play, of what it means to be an adult. Sometimes I think to be creative is to go back to being a child and to experiment and to not be afraid of getting things wrong.
I think creativity is the ability to come up with something out of nothing. So make something that doesn't exist and make it based on some sort of sheer genius as opposed to experience, knowledge, or ideas that someone else gave you. So just coming up with something where there's nothing and you have no background knowledge of how to achieve it.
I think creativity can be either developing something from zero, from something that has never existed before, to improving something that is already out there. It just bring a different product, bring a different concept, or give just a different twist to something which is made from you and in your mind at least makes sense. Then it's up to you as well if you can sell it or you can make it work or you can fit it into the real world. However, I think that everybody's got creativity in the way that everybody's got a mind and everybody can think of how things are and how things would like to be.
Radošums ir īpašība, kuru iemanto jebkurš subjekts, kurš var atrisināt kādu problēmu.
Kas tavuprāt ir radošums?
Radošums. Radošums, manuprāt, ir kaut kas tāds, ka tu kaut ko darot, kaut kas rodās. Ļoti vienkārši.
As part of my research, I've been reading books and surfing the internet, and I've discovered that apparently creativity can be trained with practice. So I would like to find out if it's true. I'm gonna do a creativity challenge, and my creative activity is gonna be writing. So my challenge is to write a story every single day. Let's see if I get any better at it or if it gets easier. It was much harder than I expected. I really hope I'll get better at it. Because this first story was really bad. I really struggle. It's very hard to come up with a story on the spot. It's not going very well. Yesterday I didn't have time to write a story again. I really struggle finding the time. And yeah, but to be honest, I'm not very excited about it because the results I've been having are not very good. And because the result is not good, I feel like I don't want to do it. But I have to. Today was different than other days. Today I didn't have to force it. It just came to me. I didn't have to look for random words and use them as an inspiration for my story as I did previously. Because previously I was like, oh, okay, I need to write a story. What about, I don't know, so I just need some random words, put them together and come up with something. But today I kind of didn't have to do it because I had this feeling that I wanted to write down, and I wrote it down in this story. So I felt like this story that I wrote today was a bit more organic and less forced, and it came out really easy because of that. After I wrote it, I kind of felt better because I felt like I've let something out that I was holding in. And probably the most difficult thing in this process is the fact that I have to write in English, and it's not my first language. And it's definitely much harder to write a story in a different language because you can't express yourself that well. But yeah, I'm trying. Instead of looking for some random things to write about, I should be looking inside me and see if what there are stories I can write about. But the problem is those stories are quite serious, and it's very hard to write a proper story in a day. I don't even have a day, like minutes. So it's very, very short. I had to force myself. I feel like my stories are becoming more personal now, which is probably not a bad thing, but it's a bit depressing. The personal stories are depressing. It was not easy. I feel like I don't feel creative at all. I used to think that I'm creative, but now that I'm doing this challenge, I don't feel that creative at all. You can't be creative just because you have to. I feel like creativity is like a state of mind. If you don't want to create, it's very hard to force it. And I'm not in that state of mind at the moment. You can't really be very creative when you're so tired, when you're doing so much. Like if you're working every day and your mind is occupied with many other things, there's really not much time to be creative. Yeah, I'm not feeling very creative at the moment, but I still think that I could be creative in the right circumstances. Just don't have the right circumstances at the moment. But yeah, I guess the most important thing for creativity is the willingness to do it. Because lately I have had no willingness to do it. And obviously, if you don't want to do it and you just do it because you have to, you can't expect a good result. That's what I think. I left it to the very last minute. I wrote it just before going to bed, and that's never a good idea. But when I was walking home, I remembered that I have to do it, and that's when I started thinking, what should I write about? So at first I was dreading it, and I was like, oh no, again, I have nothing to write about. And then I started thinking about it, and the more I was thinking about it, the more excited I got about writing that story, because the ideas started popping into my head. So many ideas what I could write about. The more you learn, the more connections you get into your brain. You start connecting things, and that's how you get new ideas. So I'm enjoying the learning process a lot. Not so much the fact that I have to write stories, but then again, once I put my mind to it, it kind of works. Okay. Last night I wrote another depressing story, and still not looking forward to writing the stories. I actually leave it to the very last minute, which is just before going to bed, and I guess it's not a good thing, because it feels like all these stories that I've written just before going to bed, they end up being really depressing, which makes me wonder, do I always go to bed this depressed? Which is kind of sad. But yeah, writing these stories is kind of helping me to get to know myself better, because I actually did not realize that I'm that depressed. So something magical happened last night. As usual, I didn't want to write the story. I was walking home last night, remembering that I have to go home and write a story before bed, and as usual, I tried to think of what I should write about, I just needed an idea, something to work with, but then I couldn't come up with any ideas. So then I went home. I just took my notebook, and my mind was completely blank, and I just started writing the first word that popped into my head, and I started writing, and something amazing happened. I actually wrote a story from nothing, and it unfolded as I was going along, and I don't think anything like this has happened to me before. It was pretty amazing, and I just couldn't stop writing, and I wrote the longest story so far, and I think probably the best one as well, and I was seriously surprised about that process and the result and everything. So that was my story number 10, and I think I finally discovered what creativity is. It's pretty amazing. It was so easy. It was so easy. Yeah, and this, what happened yesterday, kind of gives me this motivation and excitement, and I want to keep doing this. So interesting. I'm not dreading it anymore, and I'm kind of letting my mind kind of be free, and I think I'm going to use this technique again. The reason I decided to do it was because I didn't have any ideas. I felt like I had the writer's block. I just couldn't come up with any ideas, and then I remembered that I heard about this technique called I think Virginia Woolf was famous for it. It's like I forgot the name. It's when you just write the stream of consciousness. You just write down whatever comes into your head. And I thought I'll just do that. I have nothing to lose. I have to write some story, so it might as well be some weird stream of consciousness kind of stuff. But the result was surprising. I ended up writing a proper story. And yeah, wow, I don't know where it came from. It's really cool. Again, I was tired. I didn't want to do it. I left it to the very, very last minute, just before going to bed. When you're tired after midnight, it's the last thing you want to do, write a story. But still, I did it anyways. And just before writing it, I tried to find ideas, and what sparked my imagination was the tap in the bathroom when I was brushing my teeth, and I decided to write a story about a tap, and as I was writing it, it just unfolded and got kind of formed into a story. And I find this phenomenon very interesting. Like, it just the story unfolds as you write it. When I started the challenge, I would first think of the story before I started writing it. But lately, the last few stories I've written, I've discovered that it's actually easier if I don't think about it before I start. So I just write as I go, and it somehow, when I don't have the stress, when I'm more relaxed, it's just feels easier. Ideas come to us when we are relaxed. When we're relaxed, then our brain gets into a different state, the alpha state, and that's when it gets easier. That's when you come up with ideas. Easiest story I've ever written, because I didn't have to think about it at all. The reason for that is because I just wrote down my dream. It was actually a nightmare. It was pretty intense, and I woke up from it screaming. So that's why I remember it. My nightmare was about my laptop trying to kill me. So kind of makes me think that I am probably going mental, and this dissertation and all this story writing thing is just driving me crazy. And I'm glad it's over, because that was quite intense. It's the end of the journey for me. I've done the creativity challenge, and it was very challenging. Even though I consider myself to be creative, I found it hard. It's not easy to create. And what I've learned from all this experience, is that creativity is not just a skill or a talent. It's much more than that. Creativity is a mindset. It's the attitude towards life. It's the willingness to learn. It's keeping the inner child alive, being brave, and not being scared of what others are going to think about you. Creating is very hard. Creativity is hard work, and you have to be really passionate about it. Because if you don't have the willingness to create, if you're not determined to do it, and if you don't have the passion, then it's going to be very easy to give up. Creativity is a choice, and I think we all have the potential to be creative. But not everybody has the urge to create. And for those people who do, they have to work really, really hard to create something good. Yeah.